So here is was once a storage room, still is, but I plan to. It's the only unfinished room in the house, and if you can try to picture it, we had a lot of totes, a lot of boxes, a lot of electronics, everything in here. And come Christmas Eve, it started to rain big time. I mean, it was, and a week before that, we had about close to 3 to 3.5 inches of snow. So that combined with rain and the temperature getting warm up to 50 degrees here in upstate New York, everything melted. Okay, and so all the water, this is the sump pump pit, and all the water actually started to overflow. It was bad. Okay, and the pump was working fine because it's turned on before in the past. We've been here for about less than a couple of years, and everything was doing really well until Christmas Eve. You can tell. I don't know how old that pump is down there, but I'm definitely going to change it out. Okay, now there's a couple problems I found when this happened. Being up at 4:30 in the morning on Christmas Eve, using my shop vac to get all the water out, and it was still coming in like there's no tomorrow. A couple problems is when I bought a backup pump just this past summer, in the event that this one fails, I assumed, and you should never assume, but I assumed that the output discharge fitting was the same. Now the one I purchased in Harbor Freight was about it was 1.5 inch NPT discharge. This one is 1.25, so nothing fit. I had no connections. I thought it failed, but it really was just overwhelmed by so much water coming in. So number one, I don't know how old it is. Okay. Number two, there is no check valve. Okay. It just connects directly to this 1-inch pipe going up. And there's no check valve, so once this thing empties out, all the water flushes right back down again. Whatever didn't get thrown out from the pump itself. Okay. The one very most important thing is, as you can tell, where the wires are, it runs over to that outlet over there. Unfortunately, let me try to zoom in. I'm not going to walk in there. That is not a GFI outlet. That's a big no-no. Okay, so especially when you're working around this thing and the well pump reservoir tank. So I have to change that out. Okay. Now, in addition, this black discharge pipe is only 1 inch. Okay, so what happened was they reduced the output from that, so now you're not really getting the efficiency. Although it's pumping out a lot of water, you're not getting the efficient amount of gallons per minute or gallons per hour, and that's where the problem also begins. Okay, now initially I bought a backup pump. I also bought a Wayne pump, which I heard really good things about. And that will be the new pump coming in there, while my Harbor Freight will be just the backup in the event that the Wayne pump malfunctions on Christmas Eve. So what happened was they reduced it to 1 inch, and unfortunately you can't do that because then you heat that thing down there. Okay, because it's trying to push more water. There's so much resistance, and you're not getting a good flow. Although there is a flow, you're not getting a good flow out. So this thing is going to fill up much faster, and then the water spreads across the way and into the rooms, which is what happens. All right, so what I got to do is replace everything, take out that 1 inch pipe, and replace it with 1.5 inch PVC pipe. Before I move forward, there was, you can see where the black tape is over there. I guess it's electrical tape. There's one up there. The wires to the pump and the pipe itself was attached, and so when this thing turned on, right, it was rattling. It was just vibrating so loud that it took the sound upstairs and into the next room. And so now we were competing with the sound and increasing the TV. It was a mess. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to do, and I'll show you guys as I'm doing it, I'll probably just use some type of foam or something so although it's connected to the piece of wood and then runs alongside of the house. You can see everything. I mean, if you go upstairs and put your hand against the opposing side of this wall, you'll feel the vibration. It was such a nuisance. I should have done this in the spring, but I didn't think it was going to happen this bad. Or summer, no, just this past summer. Okay, so the pipe runs up. Oh, I'm getting out of focus here. Okay, the pipe runs up and then over into the next room. Okay, so there is next room. So again, that pipe coming in from the room across the way. And when I had the home inspector come in before we purchased the house, he was wondering why they didn't just tie it into the septic system. Okay, so everything flows and the septic system is right down there. But instead what they did was they drilled a hole through the house, which is all right because you wanted it going away from the house. All right, so that's where I have to run a new pipe. We have to drill some wood holes through the beams to get the 1 1/2 going through them rather than using this flex pipe here. Okay, so now I'm outside and you can tell where the pipe is coming out of the house. Originally what happened was it came out and it swung around and went under the deck, and then from there they tied it down and went down under this deck, and it shot out towards that side of the house. Now, one way to support the pipe originally, how we bought the house, was he had this copper wire connected to the gutter and it gave it a support when the water was running through. All right, now if I come around to the other side of the deck, this is where the water is being discharged out. Water will come out and it was a really good flow. But the problem was, and you can't really tell, but there's a little bit of a slope going down this way, and all the water went towards my neighbors, which is not cool. Right? I recall the first year we were here, and their place was flooded like there's no tomorrow. Meanwhile, we were dry on this end. So what I did, actually me and my dad, to keep that from happening again, was we rerouted the pipe going the opposite direction towards this side of the house. So everything's attached under the deck, and it goes through the fence that I built just this past season to hide these ugly water barrels, and it discharges. You can see that connection right through there and goes down. Okay, now this is the collection for the downspout on this side as well as on that side. All right, now the pipe underneath runs parallel with the house and it goes towards the street. So on Christmas Eve, when all that water was being pushed out, the one way to check to see how well it's working was to go where the end of this large pipe is that's underground. And yeah, there was water flow going out. As a matter of fact, it flooded out there too, but towards the street. It was bad. Okay, so project is I have to replace and take everything out. And I don't anticipate another flooding, especially now that we are in winter time. But in spring, it's gonna come back where that pump will be turning on, and replace all that black piping. Just get rid of it, gut it out, and put in the PVC pipe. It's gonna look ugly as hell, but it does serve a purpose, and I'm not gonna be using my shop vac at 4 in the morning doing the same thing. Okay. I was able to remove the long piece of wood that was across the way. It extended from the pit all the way up to the beams over here for the upstairs flooring, and I had to use a saw to remove it the way they had placed it in originally. Now, after doing so, I was able to remove the old pump. This one is a water ace, and it does still work. It's still connected. Okay, just to show you, and it's still effective. So I was originally going to throw it out, but I'm just going to hold on to it and just keep it off to the side in the event that anything happens. I already have a backup pump if this one ever were to fail. This one is a Wayne, I believe it's a Wayne pump here, and that came in the mail about a couple of days ago. This 1.5 inch PVC pipe is measures to about 22 inches, and I'm just dry fitting everything. It is threaded into the pipe, the pump itself. Now you're going to notice that I have a fitting, which is, this measures 2 inches, and I'm going to explain why. This is a check valve, okay, and I purchased this at a local hardware store, and you can reverse this boot, this rubber boot here, as well as down here, because it's made to fit 1 1/4 and 1 1/2. Right now, this is a 1 1/4, okay? And if you want to change it to 1 1/2, you just have to unscrew the the ring around this and just flip it around, okay? The more I thought about it, I didn't want to run into the same problem I did during Christmas Eve, where if the pump was made for 1 1/2, I'm not going to bring it down to 1 1/4, okay? Now, this would actually act like a resistance for the pipe, for the pump itself, although it's designed for 1 1/4 and 1 1/2. So I really thought about this, and spoke to my dad about this, and he said that if you can, try to maintain a 1 1/2 all across the way. This is a flap, I don't know if you can tell, but there's a little flap that kind of goes up and down, and it is unidirectional. It's one direction, so you just have to find the arrows to which the direction of the flow is, which is right there. You can see the arrow. So I went back to the department store, and I purchased this heavy duty thing. All right, this is a 2 inch, okay? Now I don't mind if there's, you know, somewhere from that pipe, from the pump, if, you know, if it's larger than the actual pipe itself, as long as it doesn't get smaller, because then you're gonna bottle cap it and then cause a lot more resistance, thereby reducing the gallons per hour or per minute. So what this does is, again, where's the arrow? Okay, so it's going up this way, all right? So although it opens up to 2 inch, I'm going to get a reducer back down to 1 1/2 on both ends, all right? So with that pipe over there, this is going to go right above it, all right? Now, the reason why I'm doing that is because it just prevents a lot of the water flowing back into the bin, and then reactivating the pump again. So it's going to be like a vicious cycle, on and off, on and off. So in order to prevent anything like that, that's why I'm going to use a check valve.